Welcome in, along with Mike Renner and Ed Oliver. I'm Steve Palazzolo. Today discussing Ed, and is he going to be the first defensive lineman off the draft board come 2019? Because a lot of people are hyping up Ed Oliver as a surefire top 5, top 10 type of prospect. And every year this happens, Mike, guys that we like but maybe don't love as much as everyone else, and we have to come in and say, wait, let's pump the brakes a little bit. So let's start with this. Is Ed Oliver going to be the #1 defensive lineman off the board?
No. I do not think he will be. I also do not think it has anything to do with the jacket gate or whatever you want to call what happened with Major Applewhite.
It's not because he didn't put a jacket on?
Not because he didn't put, or wouldn't take the jacket off, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with his draft stock. I don't think that's going to matter at all to NFL evaluators, but I think it's because of actual physical on-field performance. To me, he just has too many question marks about his on-field play. I know he's been hyped up as the next big thing ever since he first got to Houston, that he has been a dominant run defender since he first stepped on campus there. But at the same time, he's lacking as a pass rusher, and if we've learned anything from this 2018 NFL season, it's that you have to be able to affect the passing game as a defensive lineman at a high level to warrant any sort of high draft pick. And so far, he just has not done it.
Yeah, and that's always been my question. Again, we like Ed Oliver a lot. I mean, he has played unbelievable football in college, particularly in our system. And as you mentioned, against the run, he has two of the best season-long run defense grades that we've given out to any interior defensive lineman since we started this in 2014. The question mark has become, his first 2 years was, pedestrian pass rushing production, and then this year it's been better. But we're not seeing that domination for a guy who has the physical tools. I mean, he moves like a defensive back, and he's so quick. He should be a dominant pass rusher, and it's just not there yet on a down-for-down basis.
Yeah, his pass rushing win rate so far this season is 15%. Now, compared to Nick Bosa's is 31.4%. So he's not on the same sort of planet as Nick Bosa right now as a pass rusher, but Bosa plays on the edge, a little different position. That's obviously going to affect it. His 15% win rate is still, though, only 8th best among draft-eligible interior defensive linemen. You look at guys like Quinnen Williams, Draymond Jones, Jerry Tillery, all better pass rush win rates, and all fine athletes in their own right. So if you're comparing him against those guys, they're already more refined. Which one do I want? The fantastic athlete that really hasn't figured out his pass rushing technique yet, that's really raw in that regard, or guys who are still good athletes, maybe not as good as Oliver, but we've seen them win with their hands before. We've seen them have a full pass rushing skill set. Which one am I going to lean towards? The latter.
Yeah, and plus, all those guys that you mentioned are all 290 pounds, 300 pounds, 310 pounds. The next question, and again, we're based off production here at PFF, but the size thing kind of matters a little bit when it comes to this, big-bodied interior defensive lineman. Oliver's listed at 290, but by all reports that we're getting, he's closer to 275 right now, maybe 6'1". And I know Aaron Donald is tearing up the NFL right now at whatever he is, 285, 290, but 275, how much of that is a concern when all these other guys that you mentioned are winning at a higher rate, but with a real NFL body size?
I think it is a concern because he's going to have to at least gain 10 pounds. You have to be at least about 285 to 290 to even think about holding up on the interior as an every down player in the NFL and still winning. I mean, the size still does matter at the NFL level. It still, as a pass rusher, being able to bull rush these interior players, it's a lot easier when you're, in the Conference USA bullying back 290-pound centers who are, 19 years old versus 315-pound centers who are grown men that you're trying to bull rush. It's just going to be a little different for him at the next level.
So there we go. Ed Oliver, maybe not the #1 defensive lineman off the board. Who do we have? We've got Nick Bosa up there.
Nick Bosa 1. Interior, Quinnen Williams still. Yep.
So Quinnen Williams ahead. Do we have any comparisons up here that you've come up with?
So this to me reminds me a lot of the Ed Oliver conversation. Reminds me a lot of the Jadeveon Clowney versus Khalil Mack. But it's kind of the opposite because Khalil Mack was the small school guy, but he was the far more refined pass rusher coming out of Buffalo than Jadeveon Clowney was. Jadeveon Clowney was all the tools, and we're just starting to see him put it together, but he put it together year 3, year 4, whereas Khalil Mack started in the NFL as one of the best defensive ends. So I think that's what we're going to see here if you go with the Quinnen Williams Ed Oliver conversation. There's a good chance he puts it together down the line with how freakishly athletic he is, but I think coming right out the gate, you're going to have some struggles.
And if you look at Khalil Mack and Jadeveon Clowney, go to PFF Elite and check out their year-by-year grades. Khalil Mack elite as a run defender and as a pass rusher pretty much every year of his career. Clowney has been good against the run, but just pretty good as a pass rusher, and that's essentially how Ed Oliver's college grading has been constructed. to this point. So again, Ed Oliver, first-round player, but keep an eye on Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, and a couple other guys potentially being the #1 defensive lineman coming off the board.